On today's episode of You Asked, as many of your questions about CES and what to expect from it as I can possibly answer. There's no time to waste, so let's go. Welcome back, everyone. I'm Caleb Dennison, and this is You Asked, the show where I answer questions you asked in hopes that I can help you and others with similar tech questions. Got a question you want answered? Email it to youasked@digitaltrends.com and let's see if your question gets picked to be answered on the show. My friends, y'all came through with some awesome CES questions. Too many good ones, as a matter of fact, so it's been a little bit difficult to choose, but I did my best, so here we go. Hayden Schaub from Salina, Texas writes, the Samsung Q990 series has been rated well for years, but is getting a little long in the tooth. How awesome would it be if they came out with a new Q series with separate front speakers? Will they or any other manufacturers create a direct competitor to the Sony Quad? The separation of sound seems to be the future. Would love to see competitors attempt this the way Sony has with the Quad. Yeah, Hayden, I agree that the Sony Bravia Theater Quad seems to be the best hybrid between traditional home theater in a box solutions, with receivers and speaker wires, and soundbar based surround systems. And I also think it was kind of inevitable that Sony would get some competition. I'll comment on Samsung in just a moment, but for now, I want to call out that Hisense has already lifted the veil on its competing product, which they call the Saturn. It's a 5.1.2 Atmos system with a little box, just like the Sony Bravia Theater Quad, and I'm looking forward to hearing it. I anticipate it will be way more affordable than the Theater Quad, but we won't get pricing information on it until further into 2025. So for now, I just want to hear it and see how good it is. As for Samsung, I don't know that we'll see something like the Theater Quad from Samsung, but I do think that Samsung has an opportunity to use the music frame speakers to do something similar, but in a completely different way. It would need a processor box like the Quad, though, and I don't think that's in the cards for 2025, but I could be wrong about that, and I wouldn't be mad if I was. This next one is super fun. Zach F. writes, I was wondering what you think is most likely to happen at CES 2025. 1. LG announces that MLA will be available on the 2025 C-Series OLED models. 2. Samsung announces that the 83-inch models for the S90e and S95e will be QD OLED panels. 3. Panasonic announces a North American release for 2025 OLED and LCD TVs. Or 4. Sony announces 2025 QD OLEDs after sitting out 2024. Okay, so of those 4, the most likely to actually happen is number 3. Panasonic announces new releases for 2025 OLED and LCD TVs. Now, let me explain why I don't think the other 3 are likely. 1. LG bringing MLA OLED panels to the C-Series OLED TVs seems a bit early to me. Before MLA came out, I feel like LG needed more to distinguish the G or Gallery series from the C-Series OLED TVs, and MLA was just the thing to do that. Before that, it was basically a difference in design, like looks, and audio, and that was about it. I do think MLA will eventually trickle down to the C-Series at some point. I just don't think that 2025 is the year that's going to happen. 2. Samsung announcing 83-inch QD OLED TVs. Now, first of all, I think that Samsung is going to skip the E and go straight to F. I'm still hoping I can find out why manufacturers decide to skip 1, 2, or even 6 different letters, but anyway, I think they're going to skip E and go straight to F. I think they've done that in the past. Also, I don't think it's likely Samsung is going to tell us such a thing, but I'm hopeful I'm wrong. See, Samsung Electronics has been cagey about which TVs have QD OLED and which TVs have LG's WOLED panels. I don't have much reason to think that they're going to change that strategy. Now, I do think that it is very possible that 83-inch Samsung QD OLED TVs will be a thing, but I think that we're going to have to analyze those TVs to make that determination that they are indeed quantum dot OLED. I don't think Samsung's going to come right out and say it. Now, transparently, I've let Samsung know that while I kind of understand that they may be concerned about confusing non-enthusiast customers about which TVs have which kind of panel, I think them being forthright about which TVs have the QD OLED panels is actually in their best interests. Now, I don't know that my opinion has enough sway to change a corporate tactic, but hey, I definitely tried. And then number 4, Sony comes out with big information about new TVs having kind of sat out 2024. No. Now, at this point, you've probably already seen my video about what to expect from CES, and in it, I told you that Sony is not going to be debuting any home entertainment gear at CES 2025. They have developed a new approach. They can basically have a completely captive audience a little bit later in the year. It worked great for them already, and I think it's going to work great for them again. I do, however, think that we are going to hear about some new, exciting 2025 TVs from Sony, and I'm pretty sure one of them is going to be a quantum dot OLED. Michael Beckerman writes, what happened to Dolby FlexConnect? Back at the start of 2024, everyone was all excited about new Dolby FlexConnect speakers and FlexConnect-enabled TVs from companies like Hisense, TCL, and Sony. Demos were done and videos were released, then nothing. Crickets. What happened to Dolby's FlexConnect initiative, and will we finally see it come to market a year later in 2025, or will it just ride off into the sunset and be passed over or forgotten about entirely? Can you please get to the bottom of this and report on it while you're in Las Vegas? Okay, I have a lot to say about this. So first off, Michael, I don't think it was ever realistic to expect very many products with Dolby Atmos FlexConnect in 2024. While it is true that Dolby has worked with manufacturing partners, their touting FlexConnect at CES 2024 was as much about attracting brand partners as it was about getting the public excited about it. In fact, those two tactics kind of go hand in hand, right? Show that the public is excited about this kind of technology, and you're going to have an easier time getting brands to put that tech in their products. So I think the real question now is, since there's been some time to plan, design, and make FlexConnect products, will we see FlexConnect product announcements at the show? I'm going to say I definitely hope so, but while I can't tell you about what I have heard, I can share with you what I have not heard, and so far I haven't heard anything about FlexConnect yet. So I'm crossing my fingers. I want to be optimistic. I'd love to see some, but I think if we do see FlexConnect speakers or TVs, probably going to be coming from smaller brands. Brian Cochran writes, wondering your thoughts about the future of HDMI versions and the relative stability of AV technology over the next few years. It seems with HDMI 2.1 supporting 4K 120Hz and 8K 60Hz resolutions, as well as all the lossless audio formats, perhaps we've reached a stasis point for the time being. While things are always evolving and the fear of obsolescence is always an issue, is it safe to say that the general hardware protocol platforms that we're using now will remain relatively the same for the next several years? Or are there some amazing new display audio technologies just over the horizon that will revolutionize the experience that we have now, and by extension, require an upgrade? Yeah, Brian, so I'm only gonna say this because it has been widely reported, well, widely speculated in reporting, that HDMI 2.2 is expected to be announced at CES 2025. I agree with those who have reported this. I think that we are going to see HDMI 2.2, and I think it's going to offer much higher bandwidth. Think 8K 120 Hz or maybe 10K at 60 Hz. And I think it may well require a different kind of HDMI cable. I don't know that for sure though, and I also can't say to what degree HDMI 2.2 is going to be backward compatible, but I am hopeful that it will be backward compatible. They'd be shooting themselves in the foot for it not to be. And that all you need to unlock the higher bandwidth capabilities is to use the newer HDMI 2.2 compliant cable. But that's just me hoping. We'll know more from CES, and I'll be sure to tell you all about it here on this channel from the show. You are right though, there is little to zero immediate need for higher bandwidth right now. But if electronics brands want to push the envelope of what's possible with audio and video signals, they're going to need more bandwidth to do it. HDMI 2.2 opens doors to the future, but it will be a while, I think, before we see any consumer products taking advantage of it. Again, though, that's one of the more exciting things that I hope to get concrete info on at CES. A fellow Caleb, one Caleb Helpingstein, writes, "Why haven't TV makers started to make ultra-wide screen TVs, while we've had ultra-wide monitors for a few years that take advantage of video games and some movies? Will there be one in this 2025 CES? I could see a benefit of using ultra-wide screens to display the movies that use wide 2.35 to 1 and 1.85 to 1 aspect ratios to see it all in its cinematic glory. That's an idea to think about." Indeed, Caleb, that is an idea to think about. In fact, it was thought about, acted upon, tried, failed, and abandoned already, and this was 10 years ago. At CES 2015, Samsung and LG both showed off curved and flat 21:9 CinemaScope TVs. Actually, one was a motorized screen that could go from flat to curved and then back to flat in under a minute, if I remember correctly. Samsung's was huge. It was 108 inches, if I recall, and so was LG's, also a really, really huge display. Now, I can't recall if those were ever sold at retail or if they never made it past the concept phase. We see this a lot at CES, right? Look at this great idea, and then it goes nowhere. We call that vaporware. Feel free to look that up. I'm just running out of time here. I gotta go pack. Anyway, 21:9 TVs are a hard sell to anyone other than cinephiles and videophiles because most content is delivered at 16:9. And if there's anything the public hates more than letterbox bars, it's pillar box bars. Big, thick black bars on the left and right side of an image, which is necessary for 16:9 content that comprises most of what folks watch on TV, cable, satellite, and a lot of original content from streaming service production houses. If you put that 16:9 content on a 21:9 TV, you've got to have big black bars on the left and the right. The market for 21:9 TVs is slimmer than an OLED panel among the public, so it just doesn't make sense to make them since they can't make them at scale, not to really high numbers. Until or unless TV shows start getting shot like epic movies, I don't think that 21:9 TVs can ever really take off. You can get 21:9 displays, mostly professional products, and at smaller sizes, obviously you can get it in monitors, but consumer TVs are not likely to go that direction unless production houses switch gears, or lenses, really, and shoot in cinematic formats as a new rule. Folks, the next time you see me, it will be tomorrow with news about new stuff from Samsung. Now would be a great time to subscribe and ring that notification bell so you see that content as soon as it comes out. And hey, slap a like on this video if you're excited for CES. I'll keep my eyes on the comments all week, though it will be hard to jump in there unless I'm like in an Uber running from one Vegas hotel to another, but I will pop in to say hi from time to time. I'll see you on the next one in Vegas, and until then, here's 2 other videos I think you might like. Loud ladies and sirens, this is my life.